All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. This is Sarah. It's at carnivore.yogi on Instagram. Today, I have a really amazing guest on with me. I got to be on her podcast almost, I think, a year ago, which was
Wow.
crazy to me. But she is on Instagram as Fat Fueled Mom, and she has a very inspirational story. So we are just going to talk carnivore, keto, health, mental health, all that stuff today. So welcome, Mara. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super pumped to be doing this interview. It's a video, so it's a little different for me, but I'm ready.
You look great as usual.
Thank
Always like
you. So do
flawless skin,
you.
hair, always looking good.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, so tell everyone about yourself, how you kind of came into the keto carnivore space, like what your journey to it was.
Like diet wise and stuff?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I'll try to make this short. It's a pretty intense
It's all
process.
good. Take it
It's
as
such a
long as you
process.
need. Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like I've been on a diet for as long as I can remember. I was not one of those people that was lucky enough. And in a way, I'm glad about this. Like this makes me happy today because I've been in this space for so long. I'm I've I've tried everything. So it's a good thing because I have friends that are just now in their 30s having to worry about this stuff and
Mhm.
I mean, I can't even tell you how clueless they are. Like
Oh yeah.
clueless. Like what's a carb clueless? And I'm like,
Right.
I've been knowing what a carb was since I was like, I don't know, 10, you know? So
Right.
so I, you know, I was never the type of person that can just eat whatever I wanted. I was a dancer growing up. So that was another huge, heavy influence in my life.
Mm.
Uh, we didn't live in the time that we're growing up. Kids are growing up in a different time now where big butts are really in style, curves are in style. That
Yeah.
was not what was in style when I was young. And I was a ballet dancer.
Oh
So
my gosh.
not only was I a ballet dancer, so thin was obviously a thing in my something that I'm very passionate about, but then it was also in just in general, like the models, it was the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Was in style. Like when Britney Spears first came out, it was amazing to me because I was like, yeah, muscles, like
Yeah.
finally someone with muscles, that kind of like shares my the way I look. But I think the first time I got on an actual like diet was when I was 15 years old. Think freshman summer of freshman year, going into sophomore year. Lost a little bit of weight, felt great, but of course it was one of these typical like bodybuilding style diets.
Mm.
Chicken and rice, everything
Yeah.
measured, very small portions, eating throughout the day. Basically, you're starving. You're just thinking about your next meal while you're
Yeah.
eating this meal. And yeah, it was just always a struggle. But I mean, it was kind of something that I learned to accept, honestly, over the years, that I was just going to always have to starve myself. Like, this
Yeah.
is just my body type. I'm not blessed. So, oh well, Maura, this is what you've got to do. You're going to have to be restrictive. The end. Oh well. So I became really, really good at that. I was never, the disordered eating started very early. And I was mostly a restrictor because the
Mm.
bulimia thing, I don't like to throw up.
Yeah.
I'm not really, it's not like easy for me to throw up.
No.
But it's funny because bulimia, it doesn't just mean throwing
Yeah,
up.
it's a broad definition. We can
Yeah,
over-exercise. We can
it's
restrict the next
exactly. So
day. Yeah.
I did have bulimic behavior, but it was mostly like me trying to undo what I did. So I
Yeah.
would either starve myself for days or
Yeah.
just over exercise myself out of it. Um, Fast forward a little bit. I tried out vegetarianism. That was very popular when I was in college, as is probably it's like a thing that I guess college students need to go through or something.
Right?
I'm like, this is your thing, you got to go through this stage.
Yeah.
And because that's what I thought was the right thing. I was
Healthy.
just doing what I was told was
Yeah.
healthy. I was following nutritional guidelines, what people were saying was healthy.
Yeah.
People were going plant-based. I would eat those, like I look at the ingredients now and I almost have a heart attack. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't believe I was even eating that. So I would like restrict. And then I would eat like a veggie burger or
Yeah.
like, God forbid, tofu. Like it's literally plastic. I mean, it
Yeah.
looks like plastic.
Yeah. It
It tastes
does.
like plastic. Drinking soy milk. I mean,
Hmm?
thinking about it, it literally is a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
But I was just doing what I thought was right.
Yeah.
And so it's actually, but so during my whole time being a vegetarian, I never was vegan because I felt horrible already. It was so hard for me as it is that I was like, okay, I'm gonna eat fish and I'm gonna eat eggs and I'm gonna eat cheese every once in a while, when I care. So luckily I was still eating those foods because turns out in my DNA, I'm actually not able to convert like ALA. I have to have DHA. So I'm not a vegan. I'm not. It's in my DNA. So when I got pregnant with Desmond, I was actually I was still doing, the vegetarianism at the time. And instantly my body, I had never had such a strong craving for a steak in my entire life. Like, and I was with Danny already obviously. And my mom was constantly like, these Cuban parents do not care about veganism. They're constantly making fun of you the whole time. They're like, yeah, okay, you need a steak, girlfriend. Like, let's get over it. So my mom was like, and honestly, I didn't fight it because I thought to myself, you know what? If my body is sending me such a strong signal, I'm going to listen to it. And then that's it. I never went back, but I wasn't necessarily eating healthy at the time. It was just like, all right, I'm going to just eat what meat and then try to keep, my portions down. I gained a lot of weight when I was pregnant with Desmond. And then when I had him, I was, up probably like 50 pounds, which for me is a lot. And I was not happy with how I looked. I'm the type of person that it really ruins my day. I can't, like, I have horrible body dysmorphia, so I was just so miserable. And Danny had started doing CrossFit and he was introduced to paleo. Thank goodness, because, reading that stuff made perfect sense to me. I'm very intuitive with my own body. And so as soon as I tried it, so we started with paleo. It was my first exposure was reading, I was reading like Mark Sisson, I was reading Rob Wolf. And I was like, oh, this is good stuff. This is awesome. This makes perfect sense. I started doing CrossFit. So I got in shape. I felt amazing. I started to do a little bit of intermittent fasting. But again, the carbs, I kind of always had to, taper the carbs, because I would still start to gain weight, a little too much honey, too much sweet potatoes. But that was just something I felt really great. Then I got pregnant with Dean. My diet was, Weston A. Price perfection. Wow. During my pregnancy with Dean, I was like drinking raw milk, having fermented cod liver oil, all the goods. Wow. So then when Dean was born, because I wasn't going to do that to my, Danny had started powerlifting at the time, to give you guys a little bit of backstory so that it could make sense to you. Cause it's like, why would you leave paleo? Like, it doesn't even make sense. So the reason that we ended up leaving paleo, this is when if it fits your macros was really starting to popularity. Instagram was starting to become a thing. And Danny started to powerlift, and the culture is very, very different from CrossFit. CrossFitters care about paleo. They care about quality food and grass-fed. You walk into a powerlifting meet, we're eating Lucky Charms out the box. Exactly. Like, this is what we're doing. It's all the carbs, all the bulking, all the time, all the inflammation. And so I kind of, I wanted to get the baby weight off, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make all these different meals for the family. I kind of bought into it a little bit, and I was like, well, you know what? Let me just try to do this if it fits your macros thing. I got, a lot of the baby weight off. It was miserable. It was not as easy as when I did paleo. Yeah. Because I was starving the whole time. I did it because I'm a disciplined person, so I'm able to do that, but I'm miserable. And then really what really, was the main thing was I came down with horrible postpartum depression after Dean was born. There was just like so many things that could, anything can really set that off. He was in the nursery for a few days, which is, that's very unnatural when you have a baby and they take your baby away. And then we moved 2 months later, which kind of made it a little easier for me to be, I guess, in denial. Isolated and in denial, because I didn't have any family here. I didn't realize that I was like in my house in the dark for days. Like, I just didn't even notice it, you know? And then about 6 months into that, when Dean was like around 6 or 7 months, I was like, okay, my friend told me, she was kind of going through the same thing as well. And she told me, she's like, oh, I got Zoloft and I feel, honestly, it's working. I feel a little amazing. So I was like, you know what? I always thought, I was like, well, this is not going to be something that I'm on forever, but if this gets me through this, I'm going to have to do it. What else am I going to do? I feel miserable. My kids need a mom that is not a crazy person.
Zombie,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like a freaking zombie. So, here we go with the routine. Like, this is how it always goes. So I went, of course, I went to my OBGYN. She gave me the prescription, no questions asked.
Yeah.
Started me on a low dose of Zoloft, 25 mgs. Worked for about 2 to 3 weeks until I needed a higher dose.
Yep.
Worked for about 2 to 3 weeks until I needed a higher dose. I pretty much just stayed at 100 milligrams because, there's always a price to pay.
Yep.
And the side effects were so bad that like, you know what, I'm going to just stay at 100 because I'm just forget it. Like, I don't even want to deal with more side effects. Like, I don't even, and then the thought of weaning down from that, I'm like, well, gosh, if I keep going, then it's going to be hard, so.
Yeah. I have the same story, by the way, like postpartum depression, went to the gynecologist, got the Zoloft.
Which they tell you is safe for breastfeeding, which
totally.
I don't know
safe
about
for breastfeeding. That. Yeah.
I don't know about that. Knowing Dean now, like, Dean was such a different person when I was on Zoloft. Like, Dean was, you know what I mean? Like, Dean was a different person. Like, we were like, wow, he's such a chill baby. I'm like, no, he was on Zoloft is what he was. Because,
oh my God.
The fact that they say that's not true.
It's not true at all.
I had such a different kid. Like, it was totally affecting him. And of course, we beat ourselves up thinking of like, how did that affect him? How does that affect him now? Is that responsible for all the... Yeah. But you know what? I'm glad I had to go through what I had to go through to come out side so that other people, so that they can, help others. So, So I knew I wanted to get off Zoloft. Around that time, Danny had injured himself, of course, with powerlifting, because you can only push your body so hard. So far. And he was already starting to feel really bad. He had horrible inflammation, joint pain. And, a friend of his had been pushing him to find keto, to like, hey, gotta try keto, And so when Danny's just said the word, I was already like, I'm in, because I already knew from my paleo days how I felt. I knew I felt better doing higher fat, lower carb, that I could not obsess about food all day. I already had that experience. So I was like, and I knew that was the only way that I was going to be able to get off Zoloft as well. So I was like, well, if I'm going to get off Zoloft, this is the only way. Yeah. And I mean, we went keto, and I honestly never looked back. About a month, I still did have the depression got a lot better, but you still have these bouts, and I still had like ups and downs. It's almost like, I don't even know. I feel like I'm like undiagnosed bipolar or something. I don't care about doctors, so I never go. I'm like, whatever.
I feel that I've had doctors tell me before, oh, you have some bipolar stuff, or I've taken the bipolar test. Yeah, because it's like you're okay for a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're not okay. It's kind of like, what happened? Where did that even come from? But
exactly. And I would even have like somewhat, not like totally, because I've seen like maniac, the real manic episodes. I've seen that. So I wouldn't get too crazy like that, but kind of, because I mean, I would go from like, oh, I'm going to go to Disney with the kids. We're activity every single day, running myself into the ground. Like, let's go, to like, I didn't leave the house.
Yeah.
So I definitely did have these bouts of ups and downs still. I still had moments where I had crippling anxiety, even with keto. So then enter carnivore. Danny, one thing, what actually made me go to carnivore was actually a GI issue. It wasn't even depression, because I had no idea. I didn't even know that could help. Danny had already started to dig into a little bit of the Dr. Georgia Ede. Michaela Peterson wasn't big at the time, but we had Sean Baker, we had Dr. Georgia Ede, and we had Amber O'Hearn, which is like the OG carnivore. Oh, yes. And so I had been doing a cut with Robert Sykes, and I was eating, we were cutting calories. So I was starting to eat these huge salads, to just get bulk. Yeah. And I would literally wake up in the middle of the night, and I would throw up and it would go away. It would wake me up, the feeling of having to throw up. I would throw up, and then I would be fine. And I was like, but this is annoying. I can't be doing this. This is not okay. And it wouldn't happen all the time. And one night I just put two and two together. I was like, gosh, I think it's always after I have these salads. Like, this is crazy. And Danny was already putting it in my head. So we had a trip planned to Puerto Rico, and he's like, all right, you got to listen to this Georgia Ede podcast. He sent me these few podcasts to listen to. So I'm like, all right, perfect. I'm going to listen to it on the plane. Of course, everything she said, I was just like mind
Yeah.
blown, made perfect sense. And then when she started talking about the mental health stuff, I was like, oh, I gotta try this.
Yeah.
I gotta try it. So I'm like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Next 3 days in Puerto Rico, I'm gonna do an experiment just for 3 days. Let's see what happens. No veggies. I'm gonna just, and we were eating out and everything. Oh my gosh. Well, I never threw up again. I
Wow.
lost, and I don't like to focus on the weight loss, but it's still shocking to me. Like I lost like I think like 3 pounds in like the first 2 days. And not just that. So I pretty much stayed with it after that. I was like, oh, forget it. I'm gonna stay with this because I'm not throwing up anymore.
Yeah.
About 2 to 3 weeks in, I don't even know. It's like you have this moment one day that you're like, gosh, I don't even know if I've had anxiety these last three. Like,
Yeah.
do I
I
feel
know
calm right
exactly
now?
what you're
Is this
talking
what it
about.
feels
Like,
like? Yeah, like
wait
I
a
just felt
minute.
like a sense of peace and calmness and happiness that, I mean, only if you've been depressed can you explain
Yeah, the
the shock
clarity. Yeah.
and like the difference, because I'm like, wow, is this what normal people feel like? Like
Yeah.
this is how it feels to be like happy and
Yeah.
normal and like not wanting to like literally just like crawl, because my thing is mostly like this crippling anxiety where I just want to like crawl out of my skin sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I can't explain it.
I
So
get it. I
girl,
totally
I've
get it.
never looked back. It only gets better as time goes on. Gets
Wow.
even better. And so all the benefits, I just couldn't deny them. My skin, my hair, my mood,
Wow.
and I still had, because and the most shocking thing was like the cravings, because even with keto, I was doing the keto treats in the beginning. I learned quick
Mhm.
that that wasn't going to work, but I would still have some cravings where I wanted
Oh
something
yeah.
to eat after dinner. Carnivore is the only thing that takes that away from me.
Yeah.
The only thing I would actually, because I would grab for, because I'm the type of person, like I have a routine, like I just need my one little thing and I'm good. So I
Yeah.
would always have like an F-bomb nut butter.
Yeah.
Like I would be like carnivore with my F-bomb,
Yeah.
And then like I just had it one night and like I just didn't open it because I was just like, oh, not yet. I'm not ready to eat that yet. I don't really feel like eating it yet. And then I just never felt like it. And it was like the first, I felt like the first night ever where I was like, wow, I actually really didn't want something sweet. Not that I didn't have it because I still wanted it.
Right.
So I
But the
mean, it's been,
physical craving for it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, and I love that because I think I have the same experience. And if I now, even on carnivore, if I have something with like a sweetener in it, or I let little things creep into my diet, all of a sudden the physical craving comes right back,
Right away.
and
Oh, right away.
it's so sneaky, It's like, oh, I'll try this keto treat or I'll try that, and then all of a sudden you're obsessing over, oh gosh, I would really like to get some cake, or I'd like to have some ice cream. I wonder how this
Yes.
keto ice cream tastes. And yeah, it's super deceptive. But staying carnivore for me is like such a huge amount of freedom because that part of my brain is not tied up. I can actually focus and be around my family. And I know that you as a mom, and you homeschool your kids, right?
I
Like
do.
you're like full-time mom. So you have to be on.
I
Like
gotta be on.
your day is, starts right when you wake up, and those kids, you don't get a break from that, especially when
No.
you're homeschooling. So
Yeah.
yeah, tell me how that plays into like your energy and mood. And I know that you have challenges with Dean. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, it just plays into everything, because I like that you said that you don't have to worry about it. Because another thing is like, I'm the type of person that I just want to find something that works. I don't like to think
Yes.
about things. I don't like to try new stuff. I'm
Yeah.
a creature of habit, and like, I don't want to worry about what I'm going to wear or
Yeah.
eat. It's
Yeah.
like the fact that I don't have to think about what I eat, like, spoiler, it's going to be like the same three things. Like, it's going to be
Right.
like ground beef, a steak, or maybe eggs. I don't know. But like, I
Yeah.
don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And so it really creates extra space and extra time for me to spend with my kids, to think of something else to do, or to be more productive, to get something done, where I'm not like, oh, what's for dinner? Having to
Right.
plan out all these elaborate, like when I see the Pinterest, like meal plan, I'm
Oh,
like, who has time for this?
right.
Who has time for it? And honestly, I don't think it's good for any of us. I don't know. Like some people, I guess they feel like they need the variety, but I don't think we do. I think that it's a good thing that I
Yeah.
eat the same thing every day. And I think it's a
Yeah.
good thing that my kids eat the same thing every day, because why do they're easy to please. They're so
Right.
much more grateful when they have
Right.
something different, like,
Exactly. Yeah. And then
So,
you see people like Steve Jobs, they talk about wearing the
oh
same
yeah,
outfit every day. That's
yeah.
just,
It's decision fatigue. It's
yes.
decision fatigue,
Yes.
Like the fact that he's wearing the same, it's like the uniform.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs obviously had other things to worry about besides what he's going to wear.
Right.
His time was going to be better spent doing what he needed to do,
Exactly.
improving life. So yeah. And just not only that, you're setting an example for the kids.
Yes.
So once we went carnivore, when we came back from that same Puerto Rico trip, my kids were a hot mess. They were not keto. They were not even keto. They were just like, because it's been really hard for us to decide. We've really battled with this. Like,
Yeah.
I had such a horrible relationship with food growing up that I didn't know how to approach this with my kids. And I still don't. Like, I feel like I'm still learning.
Yeah.
It's all trial and error. And just our philosophy, we always want to give them autonomy. We try not to, just our style of parenting in general, like we try not to punish. We try to, give them autonomy and just treat them like everyone else, like the adults that they're going to become, like just
Yeah.
mold them to be that, and not like restrict their food choices or anything. But at the same time, they don't know what they don't know. They're kids.
Exactly.
They run on dopamine. We all
Yeah.
do. And they don't have the willpower. They don't have the knowledge to
Yeah.
know that they're doing harm. So it was getting to the point that it just felt so wrong. Cause I already knew like Desmond, you remember when he was born, we were paleo. This kid did not even have a piece of candy. His first Halloween, he thought it was like a game. Thought it was like some type of game. He had no idea what he was doing. He was like, trick or treat, look at all these things I have. He was like playing like lollipop drums because he didn't know what to do with the lollipops.
Oh my gosh.
Because we were so strict, and I do think that's so important, like getting
Yeah.
them started off right, breastfeeding,
Yes.
starting them off as with a good first food, not cereal.
Yeah.
Which by the way, I have to say this because a friend of mine sent me, she's about to have her second baby. And I was actually in shock to see that this was on babycenter.com. It was suggesting meat as a first food for babies from the American Academy of Pediatrics. So it's there, guys. You just have to Google it. It says meat is the perfect first food for a baby because it's better absorbed. The iron is better absorbed than from fortified foods.
Wow. Now that's huge.
I'm like, this is huge because people are like, oh, you can't give a baby meat. Well, it's there. Google it.
Wow, that's amazing. That definitely was not a message that was out there, 12 years ago when Alexis was a baby at all.
I was honestly shocked that it was from Baby Center, like I thought it was
Yeah.
like, I'm like, wow, that's huge. So I screenshotted it because I'm like, that needs to get saved. But so yeah, so we had kind of drifted from that because again, I did battle with that and I felt bad like controlling them because once they get, it's easy when they're a baby.
Yeah.
They're baby now. So you can feed them whatever you want. Like you could keep them on meat only and they're babies, so they love meat. But once they start getting around kids, they start seeing stuff, they taste it. These foods are meant, I can't even blame my kids. Like these foods are created in a lab to be addicting. Like
and
they're
the
like
advertising and the social aspect. And it's like they are literally bombarded from day one to respond to these things and to ask for them and want them. It's like they're being constantly programmed,
They're being programmed. And so we kind of let them, we would like feed them good stuff at home, but we would still like let them get like McDonald's drive-through if we wanted, or like whatever, like a little bit looser on the snacks. Like it was still kind of crappy snacks, like granola bars. They're still having like whole and grains, and my kids were a mess. Dean has sensory processing disorder. He can get very excitatory. He has, we're doing the, if we're in the process of testing, how that goes. But if he were to have anything, it would be very high functioning. And so it is even harder sometimes to get those services and stuff because he appears normal. He looks normal. And so some of his behaviors can affect him. And Desmond was struggling. Like I said, like I was saying, when we picked them up from Puerto Rico, Desmond has horrible seasonal allergies. This kid was like nosebleeds, like multiple times a day, they're so bad. I mean, these nosebleeds, he hates them. Like first of all, it's so much blood. It's like a freaking massacre sometimes. Like, it doesn't go away. It lasts like 20 to 30 minutes for these nosebleeds to stop. I mean, it was just horrible. He has that along with like the allergy induced asthma, Dean was having some skin stuff, and then his mood stuff, you know, the excitatory behaviors, like the stimming behaviors. He has kind of, well, you know, he has like a verbal tick that he'll do. And so that gets like crazy. And I was like, these kids' diets, like this is not okay. Like, and I knew it was the food. I'm like, nope, I know that. No. So I was like, you know what? And Desmond was the one that started it. Dean was still very little at the time. So it was pretty easy to transition him. I was like, you know what, Des? Because he was the one complaining too about, he's like, these nosebleeds, blah, blah. Like, why don't we do an experiment? He's seen us do it. He's like, you know what? I'll do an experiment. I'm like, let's just I had him do carnivore too. I didn't even do keto. I was like, carnivore for 3 days. He started with 3 days. Had like a baby headache. You know, these kids they adapt so quick. They're like meant for ketosis. Baby headache. On the 3rd day, he felt great. He's like, oh, let's do 4. He kept going. After like about a week, we just went to like keto, you know, and that's what they are now. Like now they're pretty much very low carb, like I like to say paleo, because the thing with keto is like we were doing a lot of these keto treats at first with the sweeteners. And after the experience we had with the kids, I don't recommend it for kids.
They're so addictive.
So much sweeter. It's so much sweeter than regular sugar.
It is.
The GI stuff, it makes them and it makes them more, it makes them have so many cravings.
Yeah. So I bought some like keto chocolates for Alexis a couple weeks ago because she was asking for chocolate. And I was like, fine, I'll just buy these keto chocolates. And it was like a bag of them. And I gave her one, and the whole rest of the day, she's like, I want more, I need more. Give me more.
I have that. Exactly. If I have one, I want the whole bag too. I get it. Like those things are delicious.
Yeah.
And so we kind of played into that. And it's funny because thankfully we did have that paleo background. And so the sweetener thing, that was the only thing about keto that I was like, I don't know if I can get behind it. Or like the Hellman's mayo with the soybean oil. I was like, it's dirty keto. It really is dirty. So, but you know, in the keto space, sometimes you can, you know, like no fruit, but like, okay, we're going to eat 40 grams of sugar alcohols here. So,
so an apple or sugar alcohols, like,
me and Danny
that's the way we are.
So me and Danny made the decision to take away the sweeteners, and the kids did so much better. You know, now they, you know, if they want an apple, sometimes I get like half-eaten apples back all the time. It's so much.
Just cut up slices and give her the slices, and typically
she'll know that you gave them like half an apple. They don't know.
Exactly.
Like, here's a bunch of slices with peanut butter, you know, like
we do cashew butter
or cashew butter, almond butter, whatever. And so their palates are way better now. Like and if you put 1 tablespoon of honey in a recipe, you give that to someone who eats keto junk, they'll think it tastes horrible because it's not sweet at all. It's not.
Right. But if they're not used to it, their palate's different, you know. And I know I've seen you talk about it on your stories before, especially with Dean, like when they get foods that are, you know, full of sugar or those chemicals, like talk about the difference in behavior that you see with him.
Yeah.
I've definitely had that with Alexis, but I've seen you guys really go through some stuff when you have like been on vacation and come back and like let them have some foods, you know, like tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is real stuff, guys. And I'm so happy that I can finally, for the first time ever, say that it's doctor's orders, because that's the hardest part about being on this side of it, especially as a mom. Like these doctors, you know, they speak with so much authority and they make you feel like so small just because they have a degree. And you're here, like, you know your kid, you know what's going on. You've done your own research. Like, you have access to just as much information now. So it's like, and it just sucks to not have someone on your team, you know? So I finally found an amazing doctor. When I filled out his thing and he was asking me about diet already, I knew he knew what was up. And he tells me this is real stuff. Like, he was saying, like, look, with my autistic kids, I do this. I do no dairy, no gluten, no food dyes. That's it. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And like, he knows. Like, so honestly, a lot of the doctors that are dealing with spectrum kids, they know. Yeah, they know, because I hear it more and more, especially with the autism moms, kids who have, you know, sensory processing or any of these neurological issues or autoimmune issues. We're starting to see some of it. So that's helpful. But yeah, I mean, shoot, if it affects my mood, of course it's going to affect my kid's mood.
It's like a little baby body, you know, like they're,
And And let's just throw something out there. I mean, look, for me, the worst, for my kids, especially Dean, the worst offenders are the food dyes
Yes.
and the gluten.
Yes.
And just so in case anyone watching this doesn't know, I mean, food dyes, the ones that are legal, perfectly legal here, they're in Gatorades. We're eating them every single day. It's
Yeah.
illegal. It is illegal in Europe. You can't even go get Skittles in Europe. They don't taste the same. They're not the
Oh
same.
my
And you
gosh.
don't have all the colors.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. You know, here
Yeah.
we have to prove something to be unsafe. Over there, they have to prove its safety. So I just think the way we test safety here is not, it's
Yeah.
not up to standard. Like it's not, it should be a little bit more, strict, but that's why it's important that we talk about these things so that companies, we vote with our dollars. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, these food dyes, if Dean eats candy, I mean, I'll lose eye contact, like
Yeah.
eye contact, like
Yeah.
I'll lose I'm like, that's not cool.
Yeah. And I
I'm like,
remember you had a
hello.
video up where his speech wasn't even making sense. Like
Yeah.
after you had like a few days away, like
Yeah.
you were like, this is how I can barely even understand what my child is saying right now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
speech is not
Yeah.
fluent, it's not making sense.
And it affects him socially,
Yeah.
because like I said, he does look normal. It's,
Yeah.
so sometimes he's very misunderstood in play circles. Cause it's not like I go, I don't
Yeah.
go announce it. Like I don't get to a play group and I'm like, by the way, we have SPD. He might grab your kid's face and he might do something weird. I don't know what to tell you. We don't, I just
Yeah.
let my kid be normal. I don't want to do that to him,
Yeah.
But yeah, like when he does have too many of these foods, I mean, and it happens immediately. It happens almost instantly,
Yeah.
like within hours.
Yeah.
He'll like he does, like I said, so he has like kind of like a verbal stimming behavior where it gets really like he'll go and like he does that. He'll do it constantly where it's like not as much when we're not eating these foods. We're much calmer. He gets he'll even clap sometimes. I know your daughter can do that, like the clapping, like, and it just gets more intense. So it's like where we're doing it not that many times a day. Like sometimes it's, where we're sensitive to noise and we can better handle it on one day. When we eat these foods, we're really losing our crap now. Like we're really losing it. So because he has those sensory things, it's like his response to them, it gets way more extreme. So like he'll grab his friends' faces, and like it's one of those things that you can tell. It's like he couldn't, like he's like, oh,
You just can't help it. Yeah.
yeah,
Alexis,
it's like yeah,
she'll
they
spell
take
to us like, I'm sorry, I lost control of my body. Like now, thank God we have like the boards
Oh
where
my gosh, that thing
she can
is, I
spell
can't
to
believe
us.
that is so amazing that you guys, and I can't believe you guys like just found this out. Like this is,
Yeah.
their minds are seriously so incredible.
Yeah,
And
she's brilliant. And like our kids are so smart and they're so wise, but it's this stuff with how their bodies, they don't really have control,
yeah, I don't
And
have
I'm
control.
always reminding her, I'm like, look, Alexis, you see, mommy doesn't eat the sugar. Mommy doesn't eat those foods because it makes me feel bad. It makes my brain feel sad. I try to explain this, and I think that you guys do a great job with your kids as well
Oh,
of just like leading by example. That's all we can do, and
that's
just
all we can
explain
do.
things to them intelligently and say, when we eat these things, we feel bad. So we don't want you to feel bad. And I tell her, I'm like, I want you to learn how to have control of your body and have regulation. I want you to be able to
Yes,
be regulated. We use the word regulated a lot. And I
I
said, when you
like
eat
that.
that stuff, you're not
No, you're
regulated.
not.
And she
Yeah,
gets
you're
it.
off.
Like
Hmm.
she gets
No,
it.
they get it. They get it. And like,
Yeah.
I like that you said that because sometimes, so now the way things go is like, look, we're the example. So it
Yeah.
always has to start with the parents. Like when parents come to me, I'm like, well, what do you eat? Like, why do you even have that stuff in your house? Like they're like, oh, all they eat is bread. I'm like, I don't have bread in my house. Even if you wanted bread, there's no bread. Like there's
It's same.
literally just no bread. Go find bread. Go get it. I don't know.
It's
Go
not
ahead.
here. No crackers, no
Go
bread,
find the
no
bread.
chips. We don't do
So you
that.
do it. So you start with yourself. You model the behavior
Yeah.
and you talk about how you feel. You talk about, and it's okay, even if you have teenagers and it's okay to admit we're wrong. Go to them and say, look, you know what? I'm going to change. You can still do what you need to do, but I just want you to know that I've learned new
Yeah.
information and what I used to think. I know that I told you that was right, but that is not right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you, and then they see your results. And I like that you said too, that you want her to learn because it happens to me. So, we control what's in the house. My kids eat good all the time. So I like the fact that, now when they do eat something bad, they do feel it because it's worse when you don't eat it. It is.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that. So when they do go to a birthday party and they go ham, because I do let them, because I think they need to make those mistakes. They need to learn. And they are the ones that have to say no. Me saying no for them, I was trying to, my little one will do this thing where, of course, you know, he's 5, but he'll beg me to have something. Yeah. I tell him, because I'm not going to tell him no, because he's his own person. Right. I tell him I wouldn't eat it. And then when he feels bad after, he'll tell me, why did you let me have that? Aww. And I'm like, because you're the one that has to say no. When I say no, it's not making you stronger. When you say no, it makes you stronger. It has to come from you. I'm like, so practice. Just try to practice saying no. I'm like, think about it. It's always an opportunity to get stronger, like to build that willpower, because it is hard to say no.
It is.
You know? Like they need to learn, you know, like this, you can't be free for all the time. Like think about it. If they can't say no to a treat, like a food, what other things can they not say no to? Like you gotta just have some, you know, self-love, and do it for the right reasons. And that's why I like that we didn't focus on weight loss. Like, yeah, sure, you lose weight. It's very easy to maintain my weight now with keto carnivore. But that's just like a cute side effect, because really the most important thing is that my brain works, that I'm not miserable, that
You're not getting triggered by everything.
I'm not getting literally triggered by everything, that I can have sustained energy throughout the day. I'm not crashing. I'm not like sleepy or So it's been a wild ride, but it's so amazing. And
and your workouts are amazing too. I'm always watching your page. I'll link to all of that underneath this video of how to get in touch with you and Danny, your podcast, and everything you guys are doing. But man, your workouts are ridiculous. So you always, I mean, you have energy to be doing those types of workouts and parenting. Like that's a huge testament to how well you're taking care of your body with your diet as well, you know?
Yeah. And I can recover from my workouts. I don't get injured easily. And if I do, here's another really interesting thing that I'd like to point out just from my own experience, and I'm sure other people have had this experience, but when I was like when I was a vegetarian, and I would like, you know, like you pick at yourself or something, that thing would not heal. No. It wouldn't heal for weeks. Now I can like almost destroy myself, and like I'm like, it's fine tomorrow, because like Danny is always like, stop picking at your face, because I'm like, I'll get in there where I'm like starting with my blackheads or something, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm like, Danny, it's going to be gone by tomorrow morning. When I sleep, I feel like every time I go to sleep, I'm like, I regenerate or something. Honestly, though, carnivore is the anti-aging. It is Botox. It is all of the things that people want, that they pay all this money for.
All the money for.
It's such a simple answer.
Like, I don't know about you, but little things like my feet, and I'm a yoga teacher, so I have to be barefoot quite a bit, but my feet used to just crack and bleed and be dry and nasty, and I'd have to like scrub them, you know, and now it's like I get to the yoga studio, I'm walking around barefoot, and I'm like, I haven't touched my feet except to maybe like clip my nails. I don't have a pedicure, but my feet are like not like Frankenstein feet.
I know exactly what you mean.
And that's just from my diet, you know.
Yeah, I love all the little things.
Botox or any of that, you know, that stuff. It's just like, just what I eat. That's it, you know.
Exactly, it's just what we eat. Another thing is like bleeding gums. Like it's just like all the little things, like things you don't even think of. Like my gums don't bleed ever. Anymore, even if I don't floss. Like I feel like my teeth are pretty much clean all the time. Is that weird? Like
no, I did a video about that.
When I'm carnivore, my teeth feel so clean.
When I went carnivore and I did a video about this, like I feel like within the first month, like the plaque actually just fell off my teeth, because I used to keep this little dental kit, and I still have it in my bathroom to like scrape my teeth, because I have crooked teeth. Like I didn't wear my retainer, and I'm like.
So it gets like in there.
Yeah, it gets stuck in the bottom. So I would have these little kits to like clean my teeth and scrape it out. When I went carnivore, I would go to scrape my teeth, and there would literally be nothing, no tartar, like nothing on my teeth. I'm like, this is super interesting, you know, and I still have that kit, but I don't ever have to use it anymore. So just so many things that we
think are normal. Like I think people just chalk it all up. Well, because it is normal now. And I'm like, guys, it's not though. It's not normal for a human body. It's normal as in like, half the population is falling apart. Sure.
Right. That they're bloated, that they have joint pain, that they have cavities, they have exhausted. Yeah.
Like that's like, I'm an adult. Like that you just feel like they just think it's normal to walk around feeling kind of crappy all the time.
Right.
Because it's like a low level of crappy all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't know. That's why we're like shouting it from the rooftops, because I can't express it enough.
Yeah. And I love what you guys are doing, just putting the message out there and talk about your family as a whole. Because I think for me, that's what I get asked questions about a lot, is like, you know, what do you feed your daughter and how do you manage the family? And I hear a lot from other people, well, I'd like to try carnivore or keto, but what about the rest of my family? Like, what do I feed them? And I'm like, you are the center of the household. If you just start saying, I'm going to cook meat, like what I do for my family, I just eat the meat, but I cook vegetables for them.
Right.
You know, I do the vegetables with low anti-nutrients. You know, if they want to eat apples or blueberries on occasion, that's cool. I'm just not going to eat it. But I think people overcomplicate it, and they're like, well, I need to have recipes and I need to do that, you know, and it's like, you know.
We keep it so simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
We keep it so simple. We definitely have more variety for the kids. So we do make them sides. They're kids, so they can handle, you know, my kids, because I homeschool.
Sensitive than we are.
And because they're homeschooled, they're so, these boys, I mean, I can barely even get them to sit for a meal. So like, they're not even sitting ever. So I let them have, you know, like, they're ripped. They get some sweet potatoes, some squash here and there. But even they know, like, they know, like, if they've already had an apple and they come and they ask me for a Lara bar, I'm like, and I don't tell them no. I go, you know, there's just a way to talk to kids to kind of make them think about it. So I'll say, well, are you hungry right now? Is that going to make you full? Is that going to solve your hunger problem?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. Like, it's only going to make you hungrier, probably.
Yeah,
You're like, if you're actually hungry, eat something that's going to make you full, you know? So like, we know about the foods that actually sustain us and make us full. And they're starting to see it too, because, oh my gosh, this is my kids. It's so funny because, you know, kids, they don't have a filter. So like, where I'm not going to say something, they will. And I'm like, shh. So they were at the gym, and they were, this other kid that I guess a friend of theirs was at the gym. This, you know, this poor little kid, he's always talking about how hungry he is to Desmond. He's like, this kid, you know, he's my friend. He's always hungry, but you know, he eats cereal. So like, I don't know, what should I tell him? Like, that's, you know, so the poor kid's like, I'm so starving. I'm hungry. And the teacher's like, we told you to eat your breakfast. And he's like, I did. I ate cereal and a granola bar.
Oh gosh.
Desmond's response was like, so epic. I couldn't even, I'm just like, oh my gosh. He goes, well, I ate bacon and eggs and I'm not hungry. Like, boom. I'm like, that's like such a great response though, because he's really just saying, because I always tell him, I'm like, Desmond, don't talk to other people about what they eat. Don't like bash people. We don't want to judge our friends. Everyone is doing, especially his friends. I'm like, your friends even less, because they're kids. They're literally not in control. Like, they're getting fed what their parents are feeding them. They probably don't really know, but just always share what works for you, because then you plant seeds. You know, you always just let people know that there's other ways of doing things. So I just love that was his response, because he's like, well, I did this and I'm not hungry. Like, just FYI, in case you wanted to know.
I love that. I love that, because, you know, we do want our kids not to go out there and like wag fingers or, you know, act superior or, you know, try to model that behavior. So that's the perfect response. Just like, well, this is what I ate, you know, just to share your story and
just share what works for you.
Exactly. Well, back to you a little bit. What is a typical day of eating like for you? I know people are curious.
Yeah, people love to know.
They want to know macros.
It's so funny. Don't ask me what my macros are. I don't track. Never was. I always hated it, and when I did it annoyed. So thankfully, I don't have to track when I'm following the carnivore diet. I can eat to satiety. I can eat over satiety sometimes when I go to the steakhouses, and sometimes I even lose a pound the next day. And like, I don't even care. I don't even weigh myself really anymore, because that's another thing. My weight, the scale doesn't really tell you everything. Sure, it's a measure, but body composition, I've looked so many different ways at the same weight. So I kind of go by pictures, how I feel in my clothes. And every now and again, I'll weigh myself just to see where I'm at. But a typical day is I do have coffee, so I know that that's something like if you still have symptoms, you should have coffee. But I do have some coffee in the morning. So I wake up, I do have coffee, and I usually fast, honestly. I fast until after my workout. But if I do wake up hungry, I'm really good at listening to my body. I think we should. Around my cycle sometimes, I wake up with
PMS week, I'm like, I gotta eat breakfast.
I gotta eat. Yeah, like I wake up and I'm hungry.
Like, I gotta eat.
So I eat because I know that my body's asking me for it. I know that my body's healthy, and so I can rely on the signals that it's giving me. So when I wake up starving like that, I have some, I'll probably have some like uncured bacon with eggs. Yeah. That's my typical breakfast. As much as I want, really. If I want 2 eggs, I'll have 2. If I want 3, I just eat what I want. And then honestly, if I do breakfast, I'm usually not hungry for lunch. So I'll probably wait until dinner, and it's usually a steak. Like my favorite cut is ribeye. I love ribeyes. I do get sick of steaks sometimes, mostly just the chewing or something. I don't know what it is. So I'll do I love ground beef. Burger is always great, but ground beef with eggs, like what can go wrong? That's like my typical go-to meal is ground beef with like an egg or 2 on top.
I love it.
I'm a fish girl, so I have to remind my family. I'm like, guys, there's other meats, okay?
Yeah.
But with fish though, it's for me, it's more like I love the taste and everything, but it's not really what gives me satiety.
I have to do a lot of bacon with the fish.
Because the fish is good to me, but I would have to eat.
You have to add something to it.
Like I'll usually have like salmon and a burger on the side.
Yeah.
Like burgers are a side. Because people ask me, what do you have on the side? I'm like, a burger, bacon.
Exactly.
A piece of chicken. I don't know. Like that's a side, right? So that's so easy. Like the what I eat in a day, honestly, when you're a carnivore, it's like your food is so I'm like, guys, it's so boring. It's the same thing.
Do you really want to know?
Yeah, people are like, you don't post pictures of your food. I'm like, you want to see the same thing literally every day? I don't.
Right.
I'll post my eggs and my same steak every day.
Exactly.
But yeah, typically what it is. If I do snack on anything, I don't really feel that I don't have to snack anymore. Really, on this diet, on this way of eating, I hate the word diet. Yeah. It's because it has a bad stigma, I don't like to call it a diet. Yeah. But if I do, it's like jerky, biltong that I want to start making my own, but there's some good brands out there. Or some like pork rinds or something, some simple pork rinds there that, but that's pretty much it. Sometimes I'll have some like raw, if I can find some good raw cheese, I'll eat that. But I do notice when I have too much dairy that it does increase my cravings. For sure. And my skin sometimes is not as good. So I have limited the dairy and I feel better. I feel better when I do.
Yeah.
So, Reserve it. Yeah.
Yeah. Reserve it. For me, it's like I
want my cheeseburger, like a cheeseburger. So that's usually what it is. But
yeah. As long as you're not going out and eating like a pound of cheese. I think that's the trap that people fall into is like, you're really hungry. You should just probably have some meat or a burger or something. Yeah. And you're trying to have the cheese to make yourself feel satisfied. And that is just not.
You could eat a whole block of cheese and you're not satisfied.
Right. You're like, I'm still hungry. Exactly. And then you don't feel so good.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Man. Well, let's tell everyone like where they can find you, what you guys are up to. I know you guys just started another carnivore keto cut recently. Is that right? Or what's going on with all that?
Yeah, we relaunched the carnivore keto cut. We're not really doing it right now. I'll probably do it closer to the summer maybe. Yeah. I got to be shredded right now. And I'm pretty lean right now too. So I'm like, I don't feel the need to do it right now. But the carnivore keto cut, it's such a hit every time. People love it. People want to cut. And it's just such a great way to cut. Check it out. I'll send you the links and everything so you can have that. We've had I think another thing that's so attractive about the program is that it's 4 weeks. And I know usually it sounds too good to be true, but when it's carnivore, it's not. It is good and it's true. It's not too good to be true because it's true and it's good. Like the reason it's 4 weeks is because it doesn't take that long. Yeah. It just doesn't. Your body wants to, like the weight comes off. So we do suggest that you're in ketosis
to start off with
before you start. But some people have started it from without being in ketosis, and they've done fine. So really, it's just a preference. It's what you want to do. And other than that, let's see, what else do we have going on? Danny and I are always on our mission to boycott kids menus. So
yeah,
I'll send you the link for that. We have these great shirts that I had this idea one day. My brother-in-law makes all our designs, and I was like, what are we? Because you wear shirts everywhere, and my kids wear these shirts everywhere. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And it is a conversation starter. So it's basically, because that's the thing. And when you were talking about like, when people ask you what you feed your kid, like what I eat, why would I feed? Are they another
Why
species?
do they eat a special menu? Like,
they're not a different species. Like, and this is something that, quite frankly, in other countries, they 100% make fun of us for, because
I'm sure
kids do not eat. I can't stand it. I go to an Indian restaurant or some cool restaurant, and there's like mac and cheese and pizza on it.
no.
I'm like, this is so offensive to my kid who wants to try real food,
Right.
So, well, we don't even order off kids menus, but that's our goal, is to boycott kids menus or make kids menus really just smaller versions of adult menus, which we need to work on those too. So,
Yeah.
But, so yeah, the teas are great. We like basically made like a mock kids menu where it's like mac and cheese, and we like crossed it out and we like replaced it with stuff. But it's such a great conversation starter because we wear it everywhere. And like, since it's complicated, people like look at it. But so yeah, other than that, I mean, we're just out here doing our podcast, spreading the word. And you know how it is. We have like our hand in like multiple projects.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you want to follow us, you can follow us to see what we've got going on. We have a YouTube channel, but we're not good at it. So you can check our few videos. We post like one a year. So it's Fat Field Family.
Instagram is the best place to keep up with you guys. I'm always watching
probably
stories.
The best. Yeah. And our podcast, if you want to check that out, the Fat Field Family podcast, which we've got amazing guests like yourself. And we've got like people talking about, their own personal stories. We get doctors on. We have all types of people come on.
It's a great podcast. I'm always excited on Tuesday when the new episode drops. I'm like, yay. Yeah, it's in my, I only listen to a very few amount of podcasts, and your podcast is like top of my list for sure.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear, because we never know who's like, you put it out there, you don't know who's really hearing it.
Yeah, it's true. No, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Always good information. I always learn, even if it's like a topic that I'm like, I don't know, but I'll just be like, no, just listen. And then even if it's something that I didn't think I was going to learn anything from, you guys are so good at just getting the message out there that it doesn't even like matter if it's something that I feel like is not relevant to me. I'm always like, oh, wow, I really learned something from that. So
cool. Do you have any like particular that you liked that, or like maybe you weren't going to like listen to at first? Because we talk about, our podcast is not just nutrition. Like that's why it's our podcast, because we wanted to start something that's just like everything we love. So it's like mindset, it's with education. So we've had a lot of cool, interesting guests on. So did you hear did you get a chance to hear America's Worst Mom, Lenore Skenazy? Did you ever hear that one? America's Worst Mom. Oh gosh, you got to hear it. It's so she's the star. Okay. So this lady, it's free range parenting. It's a free range.
Oh yeah. I did hear that one. Yes.
Hysterical. Like, you guys have to hear that episode. It's so great. It might make you, because we have this helicopter parenting culture. That's something we're also like, I don't know. Kids need to be independent. Exactly. Why everybody's a baby. Okay.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, you got to guys have to hear that episode. That's a good one.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was so much fun. Yeah, and I will definitely put links like of everything underneath the episode, and so people can get in touch with you and follow you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.